Hello my fellow crime dogs and welcome back to our channel. Our mission in life is to bring you the most intriguing and bizarre crimes committed on French soil. And maybe, just maybe, teach you a few words at the same time. In September 2012, the Al-Hili family are enjoying a relaxing family trip in the French Alps. They leave their campsite one bright morning to explore Lake Annecy and the surrounding countryside. Later that day, 4 dead bodies are discovered at the side of the road by a passing cyclist. An execution has taken place. This is the Annecy Shootings. This mystery takes us to a wooded lane close to the town of Chevaline on the south end of Lake Annecy. It's a spectacular place surrounded by incredible mountains. It's a dream for water sports enthusiasts, cyclists and hikers. The Al-Hili family are visiting France for the holidays from the UK. Iraqi-born dad Saad has rented a camper van and they are staying in a campsite close to the lake. On September the 5th, Saad, with his wife Iqbal, her mother Suhaila, and the couple's 2 kids, 4-year-old Zina and 7-year-old Zainab, jump in their car all together and they head out to explore the area. However, they will never reach their destination. A 53-year-old British man, former RAF pilot Brett Martin, who lives in France, is out on his bike enjoying the scenery, when suddenly he stumbles across a horrific scene. As he approaches, he spots a small girl covered in blood, stumbling into the road. She then collapses to the ground in front of him. He then sees a cyclist on the ground who appears to be dead. There is also a car. The engine is still on and smoke is billowing out from underneath the wheels, which are spinning furiously. Now he instinctively thinks he has happened across a terrible accident between the car and the bike. He runs to the car to see if anyone is still alive, smashing the driver's side window to cut the engine. When the smoke clears, he notices the windows have huge holes in them. He looks closer into the car and to his horror, he sees 3 dead bodies. There is blood and broken glass absolutely everywhere, and the victims all have gunshot wounds to the head. Brett suddenly realized that he's no longer at the scene of a car accident. This is a murder scene. He quickly picks up the dead cyclist and the girl and moves them to a safer spot away from the road, putting the girl into the recovery position. He then gets out his phone and calls for help. But guess what? No signal. He's in the middle of nowhere. He jumps on his bike and starts pedaling, desperately looking for anyone that can help. Soon after, he comes by another car. He explains what he's found and they call the police. The local police arrive quickly and close off the area. The girl, later identified as 7-year-old Zainab, is quickly airlifted to a hospital in nearby Grenoble and placed in an induced coma. Whoever did this not only shot the girl in the shoulder, but struck her multiple times with the butt of his or her weapon, fracturing the girl's skull. Given the serious nature of the crime, the local gendarmerie wait for a forensics team to arrive from Paris before investigating any further. It is imperative that the crime scene remains untouched until they arrive to preserve any clues that may exist. Then, at 11 PM on the same night, one of the family's neighbours at the campsite hears on the radio that a British family has been killed. Having failed to spot the Al-Hili family return to the campsite, she immediately calls the police and says she knows who they are, and not only that they have 2 daughters. She tells police, "You found one of the daughters, but the second one is still out there." With this new information, a huge search operation gets underway. They search the forest, they search the lake, they even send up a helicopter to see if they can spot her. But there is no sign, she has vanished. And then at midnight, they find her, but not in the woods. She is in the back of the car, hidden under the skirt of her dead mother. It would appear that when the shooting began, she instinctively hid under her mother's dead body, and there she would remain in shock but very much alive for the next 8 hours. The cyclist Brett Martin didn't spot her, and the police, waiting for the forensics team to arrive, didn't see her either. The girl, of course, was completely traumatized and didn't make a sound the whole time. The police are quickly able to identify the 4 bodies at the scene. The cyclist, a local man named Sylvain Molière, and 3 members of the Al-Hili family, Saad, the dad, Iqbal, the mum, and Suhaila, the grandma. Police also recover 24 gun shells. The shells alone don't allow them to identify the murder weapon straight away. However, on the ground next to where Brett Martin discovered 7-year-old Zainab, police recover tiny fragments which came off the gun when the killer used it to smash in her skull. It turns out to be a Swiss-made Luger gun. We are talking about a very old gun, not very reliable or particularly accurate. It would have taken immense skill to efficiently carry out these killings with such a weapon. On top of this, the killer would have had to reload 3 times. This would certainly not be the weapon of choice for a professional hitman, but the manner of the killings and the disregard for the children's life suggests otherwise. Maybe this vintage weapon was just used as a way to confuse police further. Police then reveal what they believe happened prior to Brett Martin arriving on the scene. At 3:30, the family pull over in their car into the lay-by, possibly for a quick break or maybe because they took a wrong turn. At this point, Dad and the eldest daughter get out of the car. At the same time, a cyclist, Sylvain Molière, appears on the road and pulls up next to the car. Then from nowhere, the killer appears, approaches the lay-by and starts shooting. First to be hit is the cyclist, who falls to the ground dead. The killer then turns his attention to the car and to the family. The mum, her grandma, and the youngest daughter are all trapped in the back of the car. In an attempt to save his family, the dad and the eldest daughter are now running back towards the car, under heavy gunfire from the shooter. It's at this moment that the 7-year-old takes a bullet in the shoulder. Investigators believe Saad then tries in vain to grab his daughter's arm and pull her towards the car. He jumps in the driver's seat, and in an attempt to escape, he slams on the accelerator in reverse, running over the dead cyclist and slamming into the bank behind him. The wheels, however, dig into the ground and the car gets stuck in the bank. Everyone is now blocked inside the car except eldest daughter Zainab, who didn't manage to jump in with her dad. The shooter then closes in on the car where the dad, mum and grandma are bleeding but still alive. By this point, the 4-year-old girl is hidden underneath her mum. The killer then unloads more rounds on the car, killing the parents and the grandma with shots to the head. He then catches up with the eldest daughter, who is trying to escape on foot, and noticing he's out of bullets, smashes her with his weapon several times on the head. After that, he vanishes, never to be seen again, leaving no evidence apart from the gun shells. Several neighbours in nearby villages claim to have heard the gunshots, but hunting is pretty common in this area, so they didn't think anything of it. A 4x4 with English plates was spotted leaving the scene, but was never located, as well as a motorbike. And as you'll see, these vehicles turn out to be one of the few credible leads in this case. Investigators then scramble to find out anything they can on this Iraqi-born family, and quickly turn their attention to Saad's brother, Zaid. They discover a couple of intriguing things he does in the aftermath of the killing. The following day, he goes to the police station and gives his alibi, as if he thought he would be immediately under suspicion. It turns out the 2 brothers were embroiled in a war over their father's inheritance. There were a few £1 million at stake, and the brothers were unable to come to an agreement on sharing the money. This created a great deal of tension within the family, and Saad allegedly even tried to exclude his brother from his father's will. Saad had also recently reinforced protection at his home in England, installing security cameras, alarms, bulletproof glass, and even purchasing tasers, as if he knew his life was in danger. Neighbours confirmed that Saad was definitely on edge, but no one could say why. On June the 21st, 2013, Zaid is requested to appear at the courthouse in Annecy for questioning, but alas, he doesn't show up. And so 3 days later, in England, on the 24th at 7:30 AM, he is arrested at his home in Chessington and placed in police custody. Investigators learned that the disagreement over the father's inheritance had spiraled out of control, with the brothers turning to death threats and physical violence. Zaid is officially accused of participating in a plot to commit murder. 10 months into the inquiry, he goes from simple witness to prime suspect. Straight away, he makes life difficult for police. Advised by a lawyer, he remains mute, responding to none of the officers' questions. The following day, police search his home and his place of work. However, they find nothing suspicious and he is released from police custody. In October 2013, Zaid does break his silence. In an interview with the BBC, he challenges police to prove any wrongdoing on his behalf and suggests that the French police are covering something up to protect someone in France. He even offers to do a lie detector. He also claims, which I find hard to believe, to have no animosity towards his brother concerning the inheritance money. Police think he is lying too, and he is still considered a suspect. But with no real evidence to back up their suspicions right now, they reach a dead end with Zaid. In November 2013, police make an announcement that they can't find the family's passports, although they must have had them with them when they arrived in France. Saad was a careful man. It's very unlikely that he lost them. So where are they? Perhaps the killer took them as proof of mission accomplished. Investigators then turn their attention to the poor cyclist Sylvain Molière. What if he was the initial target and the family were just in the wrong place at the wrong time? On analysing the crime scene, it would appear that he was the first person to be gunned down. However, they go through his life with a fine tooth comb and they find nothing. Police dig further into the father, Saad, and his professional life. For 2 years, Saad had been working as a consultant for a satellite company in the UK. Strangely, however, in his close circle of friends, no one really knew what he did for the company. He was very discreet. We learn that this company was essential in the conception of 2 satellites, gathering information for the French secret services. Could Saad have been working as a spy, passing on information to a foreign power? Neighbours of the family also tell police that they believe the family was being spied on. The 4-year-old girl, who had been hiding the entire time, remembers absolutely nothing. The older sister claims to have seen a méchant, but can provide no description of the suspect. The 2 girls have since been given new identities and remain under police protection, as their lives could still be in danger up until this day. On November the 4th, 2013, police decide to release a sketch of the bike rider spotted near the scene on the day of the crime. The police had this drawing since the beginning of the inquiry, so why release it now? The day after the shootings, on September the 6th, 2012, police interview 2 individuals who work for the National Forest Agency. The day of the drama, at around 3:30, they exchanged words with a man on a white motorbike, the same bike police have been searching for since the inquiry began. They gave him directions back to the main road, and that was all. They saw this man's face, so this could very well be our guy. The sketch shows a white male wearing a helmet and sporting a goatee. So why wait so long to release the information? This is no ordinary helmet. It's a relatively rare model used in the French police and army services. Investigators were concerned that if they released the image too soon, then the owner of the helmet would simply get rid of it, giving investigators no time to trace the owner. Having looked thoroughly into the helmet and finding no connection, they decide they may as well release the picture, even though the man in the sketch could pretty much be anyone. Having released the sketch, police receive about 100 calls, but only one attracts their attention. On February the 18th, 2014, after 3 further months of investigation, an arrest is made. Eric Devoisieux, a 48-year-old ex-policeman, father of 3 from the town of Menton, is taken into police custody. Phone records prove that he was close to the scene at the time of the murder. He looks very similar to the sketch of the unknown biker, and he loves guns, especially old guns, especially Lugers, just like the one used on the family. Police ransack his home looking for any evidence to connect him to the murders. They actually find over 40 firearms, mainly from the Second World War. However, no sign of the white motorbike or the distinctive helmet. They do find a Luger, however, but it's not the same model. So despite finding enough weapons to start a small war, there is nothing concrete linking him to the murders, and he's released without charge. Police don't get another break in this case until 2015, when another arrest is made. This man admits being in the area on the day of the crime, but says he was simply there paragliding. The same man was arrested again earlier this year, He was asked to corroborate his alibi and police searched his house. The fact that this man has been arrested twice makes me think that the police have some information that they're not telling us. They find no hard evidence here either, and he's released also. Now this case is packed with strange coincidences, starting on the day of the murders. Just a few minutes before he discovers the murder scene, Brett Martin is overtaken on his bike by Sylvain Molière, the fourth victim. Now Brett Martin is English and he worked in the aerospace industry, so what if he was the initial target? So could he have been the target or even a suspect? For police, someone who is on the crime scene first could just be a witness or could also be the killer. He is a former military man but claims to have not heard any of the gunshots. The police therefore have their suspicions. Acoustic tests would later prove that from where he was, the sound of the shots would not have carried. A year after the shootings, another incident puts Brett Martin back under the spotlight. On November the 10th, 2013, a campsite owner is gunned down in her own home in a town called La Tuile, just 3 kilometers from Cheveline, and it also happens to be the place where Brett Martin has his secondary home. In England, the press jump all over this and they try and make a connection between the two cases. But for the local prosecutor, this is nothing but a dead end. 2 years after the shootings, police investigating Saad's wife Iqbal discover another mystery. Iqbal al-Hili gunned down with her husband Saad and her mum Suhaila on the 5th of September 2012 had been hiding something in her past from her family. She had already been married once before, but this, my fellow crime dogs, isn't the most surprising part. The man she was married to, an American named James Thompson, died 5,000 miles away in Mississippi from an apparent heart attack on the same day as the killings in Cheveline. Thompson's family don't believe this is how he died, and they suspect foul play. At the time, one family member even claimed that he had been shot with a poison dart. I'm really finding it hard to believe that this is just a coincidence, but there is no hard evidence to suggest otherwise. This case is completely mind-boggling. Could it have been a contract killing? If so, why? Could it have been a crazy lone gunman? A psychotic act from somebody that lived nearby? Could it have been the finale to a painful family feud? As time goes on, the mystery surrounding the case intensifies, and the Annecy shootings remains, to this day, an inexplicable tragedy. I really struggle to get my head around this case, and if you guys have any comments on what you think happened to the family, please feel free to leave them below. If you enjoyed this video, you can like it, you can share it, you can subscribe to our channel, and you can click the notification bell. That way when we release new videos, you'll find out straight away and you won't miss out on the next installment from the Crime Dog team. You can see our latest video right up here, so go check it out. So that's all from me. Merci et à bientôt.